As soon as the mother and daughter were comfortable in the cottage that Henchard rented for them, he began to visit them. Elizabeth Jane believed all that her mother and Henchard wanted her to believe. Though this seemed to please Henchard, his wife was not particularly happy about it. One afternoon, the daughter was not at home when Henchard came, and he said, "Really, this is a very good opportunity for me to ask you to name the happy day Susan." The poor woman smiled faintly. She did not enjoy joking about a situation into which she had entered only for the sake of her girl's reputation. Indeed, she seemed so unhappy, it was surprising that she did not bravely tell the girl her history. But she did not. She felt too weak. Henchard went ahead with the arrangements for the remarriage, although his wife still seemed reluctant. "Oh, Michael," she said once, "I am afraid all this is taking up your time and causing a lot of trouble. I did not expect any such thing." And she looked at him, and the way he was dressed, he was an important, wealthy man. Then she looked at the furniture he had bought for them. It was rich and wonderful to her eyes, and she felt more fearful than ever of her position. The whole town was talking of the coming wedding. The townspeople were surprised that such a poor, weak woman should be the choice of such a rich man as their mayor, who had always avoided female company, so far as they knew. On her wedding day, Susan entered a carriage for the first time in her life. When she stepped into the one which drew up at the door to take her and Elizabeth Jane to church, it was a cold, wet November day, and few people witnessed the second marriage of Michael Henchard and his wife Susan. Mrs. Henchard's entry into her husband's large house and respectable social life opened up a late, glorious summer in her life. Michael Henchard did everything he could to make her new life a happy one. He was kind and generous. Nevertheless, his house, with its huge high rooms and wide halls, hardly seemed to notice the arrival of the new mistress, so little did she seem to belong there. For Elizabeth Jane, the restful, easy, rich life to which her mother's marriage had introduced her marked the beginning of a great change. She found she could have nice possessions. If she occasionally saw a pretty ornament when she was out with her stepfather, he would buy it for her immediately. By the beginning of the next summer, the lines of worry on her young face, caused by her harsh earlier life, had quite disappeared. Her thin face and figure filled out in softer curves, and a healthy color came to her cheeks. Her thoughtful eyes told of a natural understanding and knowledge. Sometimes those eyes would sparkle with gaiety, but this was not often. Light-heartedness did not come to her easily, for she had to be careful and serious-minded from an early age. Henchard liked her very much. The three members of the family were sitting at breakfast one day. Henchard looking silently, as he often did at Elizabeth Jane. He noticed particularly that day the color of her hair. It was a light brown. "I thought Elizabeth Jane's hair. When Elizabeth Jane was a baby, didn't you tell me that her hair would be black?" he said to his wife. She looked up, startled, jerked her foot as a warning, and murmured, "Did I?" As soon as Elizabeth Jane had left the table and gone up to her own room, Henchard continued, "My God, I nearly forgot. What I meant was the girl's hair certainly looked as if it would be darker when she was a baby. It did, but they alter so, replied Susan. Their hair gets darker, I know, but I wasn't aware it ever lightened. Oh, yes, and the same uneasy expression which had appeared a few times before passed over Susan Henchard's face. Henchard hardly noticed it as he went on. Well, so much the better. Now, Susan, I want to have Elizabeth Jane called Miss Henchard, not Miss Newson. I'll advertise it in the Casterbridge paper. That's the way they do it. She won't object. No, oh no, but well, then I shall do it, he said. Surely, if she is willing, you must wish it as much as I. All right, if she agrees, let us do it, she replied. But when Susan Henchard spoke to Elizabeth Jane, the daughter saw that her mother was upset. She went to Henchard and asked him if that was what he really wanted to do. Sensing some unhappiness in her request, he said it was just an idea he had, and not important. There the subject was dropped. Nothing more was said, and nothing was done. Elizabeth Jane continued to call herself Miss Newson and not Miss Henchard.